Art classes have their ups and downs, and we have all been there, sitting in class while the teacher describes the new project for us to dive into. Sometimes the pitch lands, and sometimes it falls face first into a bottomless swamp. But either way, you waltz through the field of flowers, or you slog through the swamp to the finish line, and you complete the project. And you grow, you learn new things, and triumph greets you atop the hill. But your art teachers aren't always around, and coming from an art teacher, the projects are not tailored for each individual student. But the idea is correct. Projects are one of, if not the best way, to grow your skills as an artist. So today, we are taking a look at the benefits of self-defined and created projects, and why you should be using them more to level up your art skills. If you are enjoying these videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps a ton. My name is Zach. Let's dive in. We are going to go through 5 benefits of self-defined projects. They are not in any particular order, but let's start with this. They are personal. I feel like this is an apt point to start out on. The major fault of art projects is they're not personally tailored for you. I mean, how could they be? But now you are in a position where you can design the projects based on your needs and desires. Focusing on the particular skills you need for your pursuits allows you to gain those skills at a faster pace, or maybe just develop them in the first place. I have worked on many projects and classes over the last 20 years that were good projects, but just not good for me individually. I reckon you have seen the same. You are more likely to work on projects that are personal. When you are in school, the grade and grad requirements are an impetus to finish things, but after that stage of life, it can be difficult to find the motivation to work on projects. Ones that are tied to you personally are much easier to work on, much easier to self-motivate for. Let's also not forget that personal projects are exciting. This is why you are here, right? You didn't decide to pursue art so you can make 10,000 figural studies. You wanted to design characters. Well, here you are, with the studio space laid out in front of you, waiting for your self-designed character project. This way, you can trick yourself into doing the studies in a more constructive and entertaining way. A word of caution. It can also end up more emotional and be tied to self-worth, so remember, this project is of your design, and don't rush it. This is your project. Be gracious with your expectations and time constraints. Have any personal projects at present? Share them in the comments down below. Self-designed projects promote practice, but in a different way. Let's be real. It is hard to practice when it isn't linked to something. Heck, it's hard to practice at all. But when you have a particular project and things that have to be included in it, and you don't do those things well, or you don't know how to do them at all, the only options are to suck or to practice in order to improve those things. Let's say you, like me, are bad at illustrating rocks. Logic says, well, sit down and draw 1,000 rocks. And you know what? That might be right, but it's boring as crap. Designing a project that incorporates rocks forces me to look up strategies on how to draw them better or research how they function, and is going to be a much more entertaining way to do this. In addition, it's going to keep me in the project longer. Good projects always seem to include ancillary components that make you better at things that were not the direct focus of the project as well. A figure drawing project always kind of inherently includes some foreshortening or drapery practice as well as the anatomy and human components. You end up practicing these particular things more than you would otherwise, and you level up alternative skills you wouldn't have outright focused on otherwise. A word of caution. Practice for practice sake is also a good thing. Don't avoid it by always focusing on projects. Though projects will pull you into practice in a better fashion, whenever you have the mental capacity to just practice something you don't do well, you should take it. These kinds of projects are tailored to your desires and needs. This is a little similar to these projects being personal, but it's more specific. The things you will have to practice for the projects will be tied into what you want to improve. Each of us are different, and our particular goals are also individual. When you devise projects that are tailored toward vehicular design, flowers, or splash art, you end up doing these things in miniature. You may not be at a stage yet where you can create your own futuristic tank from imagination, but a project where you have to design or replicate some of the components of a science fiction vehicle will put you on that path, slowly scoring achievements to unlock the skills you truly desire. Success in these projects guarantees progress towards your goal. This is the beautiful thing here. Each project you follow through on and complete is more experience and more skills honed, and it is all directed toward your specific desires and needs. You get to pave your own path. You are your own trailblazer. A word of caution: don't forsake fundamentals. It's fun and arguably better to work on material that you find interesting, but there is a reason the fundamentals precede it all, so don't neglect them while focusing on more entertaining work. These projects give you direction when you don't know what to work on. We, as artists, often have this duality of inspiration and concept, where we find ourselves idea-motivated or activity-motivated at different times. We sit down to draw and have no idea what to do, or we come up with the best ideas ever while we're stuck making sandwiches at work. The beauty of self-designed projects is that they sit on the back burner and are ever present when you have the desire to work. The muse wakes you up at 3 a.m., you have your project primed and ready to resume. You know exactly how to take this motivation and put it to use. Having one or a series of projects at any given time means that you always have a place to direct your energies, and you are prepared for times when you are unsure what to do. I don't think I have a word of caution here, this is just mostly good. These projects also give you measurable goals and achievements. Working on art in general can feel like climbing a mountain that never ends, because this journey doesn't end. Having projects is like having base camps at different spots along that climb. You have places you can rest, places you can feel good about reaching. If it's just an infinite climb, it can be quite discouraging, as you never really feel like you've accomplished anything. Projects, just like they are in most classes, are benchmarks along the way. You can even set them up over predefined quantities of time like school does. I want to have one project accomplished per month. May not be a bad place to start, depending on the size of the project. In addition to being actual stepping stones, they are waypoints along the journey. It is useful to look back and see where you have been, see that you have made progress, and that you aren't just treading water. Projects allow you to make sense of your progress and actually evaluate it. On a more social note, it becomes much easier to explain to friends and family what you were doing when it comes to projects. It's easier to tell someone, "Oh, I'm working on this set of character designs," or "I'm finishing up a landscape in oils," rather than, "I'm drawing 1,000 rocks. Wanna see?" Not that we always need the validation of the outside, but we certainly have our fair amount of questions that come our way. And projects simply make it easier to explain to the casual, likely well-meaning passerby. And sometimes they make it easier to explain to ourselves and help to justify the amount of time we're spending on something. Projects are a great form of art insurance, helping keep our noses to the grindstone in the right ways. I hope you enjoyed the video and benefited from it. Stay tuned for the next video in this series, which will be about how to craft your own personal projects. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.